This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, it is now, what's today? Thursday, June 21st, and it's looking like Argentina doesn't have too much time left in the World Cup. All right. You figured after their little 1-1 draw against Iceland, they're going to come back better against Croatia. It's going to be a much better performance and all. They played a whole lot worse. We're going to be talking about that for the first segment, along with their chances making it out the group, talking about Iceland, Nigeria tomorrow. And yeah, we'll talk about using that for the first segment. Second segment, we'll talk about the other World Cup games. We had Denmark, Australia, and then France, Peru. Third segment, we got the NBA draft coming up tonight. We'll be talking about that. And then for the fourth segment, we'll be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports. All right, so that's how today's show is going to go. So like I said, let's start off with Argentina and Croatia. Like I said, Argentina drew with Iceland 1-1 last time Argentina was out here for the World Cup. Croatia beat Nigeria 2-0 off of an own goal and a Luka Modric penalty. You figured this one here was going to be a good game. Both teams are going to play well. Only one team did, and that one was Croatia, given the fact that they did win 3-0. So you had Ante Rebic scoring in the 53rd minute. Let's see, you had Modric scoring in the 80th minute outside the box. I mean, perfect goal there. I don't know. It's just Madrid. Their little center back there couldn't keep up with them, or I don't know what happened there exactly. And you had Rakitic scoring in the 91st minute of the match. Like I said, that's what made it 3-0. I mean, I put this one on coaching, but also, I mean, the team's just terrible here, okay? They're their goalie, Willy Caballero. I mean, I don't know what he was doing. Trying to clear that ball. If you're going to clear it out, like, kick it harder rather than trying to chip it over. Like, that made no sense to me whatsoever. All right, Otamendi played terrible. Messi was non-existent. Aguero didn't do anything. Enzo Perez was more so bad than he was good. I mean, none of the team played well. All right, we at least saw Paulo Dybala, but he didn't really do much. And it's just, Argentina just got dominated. All right, there was no other way around it. No one else really, they didn't stand a chance in this game. It was Croatia from the start. All right. And I think that had a lot to do with the fact that Croatia's got one of the best midfield combos in the tournament. Okay. Looking at their midfield, you got Rakitic and Modric, Perisic on the other side. Then you bring in Kovacic off the bench. I mean, what more do you need there? And now that Argentina lost, I mean, they still have a chance. I believe they're currently only got 1 point. Yeah, they only got 1 point. Iceland right now, like I said, they're playing tomorrow. They got a point also. Nigeria's got 0. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Argentina most likely will be either in third or fourth, depending on who wins against Croatia, or actually Iceland and Nigeria. But Argentina in their final game is going to have to play Nigeria, and that's not going to be an easy matchup there. All right, I understand Nigeria lost to Croatia, but nonetheless, I mean, Nigeria's got some talent. And let's say that Iceland beats Nigeria today and they tie with Croatia. Argentina has no shot. They're done. All right. Actually, technically they wouldn't be done, but it's just the point where you're going to have to make up that goal differential now, which is at -3. All right. And it's just a matter of, the question now, I guess, is how bad is this Argentina team and how much of this is on Messi? Okay. I mean, Argentina's got talent. You got Aguero. You got Dybala. Obviously, you got Messi, Di Maria, Higuain. Defenders are okay. All right, you got Otamendi, Mascherano. But it's just the point where I mean, Messi played terrible today. About as poorly as, even worse than he did against how do you say, Iceland, when he missed that penalty. All right, looking at his game stats, let's see real quick. He had no shots on target. I don't think he took one shot today. He had one blocked, actually. All right, only completed 75% of his passes. Let's see. Dispossessed 3 times, 2 fouls. He was very average. All right. And when you got Ronaldo over there scoring goals for Portugal, Ronaldo's already at 4 after 2 games. Messi's at 0 after 2, and they only got 1 point. It's going to be a problem. Okay. And of course, this is going to affect how people see him as far as being the best player in the world when it comes to him and Ronaldo. Even though it's pretty much who you prefer watching. But like I said, I mean, as far as the Argentina team, even if they do make it out the group, it'll be as the second team. You're probably going to have to play France. Does Argentina really have a chance against France? All right. I'm not entirely sure there. But France also, too, hasn't really been playing too well since this World Cup started. They played earlier today against Peru. We'll be talking about that in the second segment. But nonetheless, I mean, now it's just a matter of Argentina's got to watch tomorrow. You got Iceland. If you have Iceland winning by, let's say, 2 goals or whatnot, Argentina's going to have to score, 5, I think, around there in order to have a chance, in order to come back. All right. And what exactly, let's say Argentina doesn't make it out the group. What does this do for Messi's legacy? Like, does it change anything? I mean, Messi has always been one who never really won anything with his international side. Talking about Argentina, he's won all of his trophies with Barcelona, basically. All right. And there's just a point where does him not making out the group put him behind Maradona? Does it put him behind guys like Pele? I wouldn't say so. Okay. And like I said, I do put a lot of the blame here on the coach. I think he's a bit stubborn in his lineups. And I do think that, he could do better here with the lineups. All right, Paulo Dybala is probably one of your best 3 players on that team. And you're keeping him on the bench. Makes no sense to me. I understand the whole Messi and him play the same position argument is out there, but there's a point where these guys are professionals and both have played on the right wing before. So why not just throw them out there? Okay. But like I said, I mean, this one was just a matter of Argentina's midfield getting dominated by Croatia's. It wasn't close at all, and just with Argentina, I mean, even if they do get out the group, there's not much faith in them going far. All right, and we talked about it yesterday too, I believe, where these top teams haven't really impressed. Like I said, France haven't really impressed. Argentina aren't even sure they're going to make it out of the group. Brazil don't even know what's going on with them because of Neymar. Germany lost to Mexico. Spain was very disappointing versus Iran, I'd say. I'd say Portugal is the only team who's really looked good, and I mean, only one player scored all their goals. This could be the World Cup, like I said, where we see a second-tier type team win it. Maybe a Croatia. Maybe a Uruguay. Who knows? Maybe even a Mexico type of team. All right? A Switzerland's and all that. I mean, they're not bad teams, and it seems like now they're not really afraid to go at these top teams. I mean, who would have expected that Croatia would beat Argentina 3-0? It wasn't a 1-0 game or even a 2-1 type game. This was 3-0. 3-0 means you had no shot whatsoever and the team just outclassed you here. All right. I mean, maybe for this game we might have underestimated Croatia's ability to play. Maybe that's why we're so shocked at Argentina losing like this. But also then, so like I said, Argentina's got all kinds of attackers. They got decent midfield players. And they got decent defenders. It's just a point where, I don't know, they always tend to start out slow in the World Cup, and I think they might have just dug themselves too big of a hole here. All right. Like I said, this isn't good for Messi as far as his little rivalry with Ronaldo, and if anything, this helps bolster Ronaldo too. Because, of course, we've seen the argument that Messi has no help around him. Okay. We've also seen the praise that Ronaldo has single-handedly carried this Portugal team. People are going to look at Messi and say, well, Ronaldo's carrying that team. How come you can't carry this team? And I'd say, too, that this Argentina team, player for player, is better than Portugal. Okay? So obviously that's something that's going to be brought up too. And it's just like I said, I mean, I don't think that Messi's any worse off of a player given these 2 game performances. But of course it is going to keep people talking. And of course it is going to damage him a bit. All right. This has always been it right here, the World Cup. Messi has never won anything with Argentina of major note, or it hasn't won a Copa America, has not won a World Cup yet. All right, disappointed in that World Cup final 2014, and you figure here Argentina would be on a mission. But of course, it's not looking very good for them. I'd say right now Croatia's the favorite to get it out, and I mean, get out of the group as the number 1 team. And if Croatia gets out as the number 1 team, they probably have to play Denmark. All right, so I'd say Croatia could get to the quarterfinals, and if you're already in the quarterfinals, I mean, there's no reason why, no matter who you're playing, to think that you couldn't make it to the semis. So it'll be real interesting to see what ends up happening. I mean, I'm not really sure what Argentina's coach is going to do for the 3rd matchup as far as his lineup. I figure that you don't really have anything to lose here. Well, obviously you do, but you can't really get too cautious. All right, I feel like you got to throw Dybala out there. You got to throw Messi out there, obviously. Maybe you go with Higuain and you throw Di Maria out there. All right, throw out your best attacking players. I mean, I'd be fine with Aguero or Higuain, but I'm just saying he's got to switch something up. Let's see, looking at their lineup today. They threw Aguero, Messi. Mesa started today. Asuna, Mascherano in the midfield. They were playing with 3 center backs. All right, so basically 2 wing backs. Yeah, I don't really understand this lineup. I'd say that their lineup against Iceland was a whole lot better. All right, let me see if I could pull up their matchup against Iceland, their lineup there. Because like I said, I don't like the whole 3 center backs, 2 wing back type of formation. So against Iceland, they threw out Aguero, Messi on one side and Di Maria on the other. That's a whole lot better than what they threw out today, I'd say. So we'll see, though. I mean, they still got to beat Nigeria. Like, they definitely have to beat Nigeria and at least put up 3+ on them. So we'll see if they're able to do that. And you got to hope that Iceland ends up losing tomorrow, too. So who knows? But either way, we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking about the other 2 World Cup games from today and then talk about anything else that has to do with the World Cup. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We spent the first segment talking about Argentina versus Croatia. Croatia won that one 3-0. All right, and Argentina's in a bit of trouble here. Let's see how they've done in recent World Cups. Let's see. 2014, obviously, they were the runners-up. 2010, they made it to the quarters and lost. 2006, made it to the quarters and lost. 2002 made it to the group stage and made it to the group stage. Didn't even get out the group stage, I should say. 1998 quarterfinals lost. 1994 round of 16 lost. 1990 runners up. 1986 they were champions. So, I mean, since '86 they haven't won anything, and they haven't really did well at all. The last one. Except for the one in 2014 where I guess they became runners-up. But 2010, 2006, 2002, 1998, 1994, they were terrible. All right. So, we'll see what Argentina can do. I mean, they're still not completely done. If Iceland end up beating Nigeria tomorrow, then it definitely is going to be tough for Argentina to make it out, just given the fact that they're going to have to score a lot of goals against Nigeria. And you're going to have to hope Croatia beats up on Iceland for that third game. I'm not sure if it's going to work out that way. And like I said, Messi's legacy probably will take a hit, given the fact that there's been so much pressure on him winning something with Argentina. And of course, you got that guy Ronaldo over with Portugal pretty much just dominating everyone they're playing. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But nonetheless, we did have some other games going on today. We had Denmark and Australia. All right. We had Christian Eriksen scoring in the 7th minute. Nice little goal. Ball gets laid off to the middle for him. He's running down into the middle of the box. He ends up hitting it. Goalie couldn't do anything about it. Then you had Mike Jednak scoring for Australia in the 38th minute, which made it 1-1. Game finishes that way. Looking at the match stats, Australia did have most of the possession, had 54% of the ball. All right, had the ball 54% of the time. Took 12 shots, 4 of them were on target. Denmark took 9 shots, 4 of them were on target there. Best team in the first half, I'd say. I mean, I'd say it was pretty even, given the fact that both got goals and it was both deserved. Both were pretty active. Second half, it was a little bit of the same. It's just neither was able to put the ball in the back of the net. There was a lot of chances here. But like I said, I mean, each goalie played well. Let me see how many saves each goalie made. Schmeichel, what is this? I think this is his 6th straight clean sheet in a row for Denmark, which is, or actually not a clean sheet, excuse me, I forgot. They gave up a goal, but nonetheless, he made 3 saves. And Australia's goalie Matthew Ryan made 4 saves. So both goalies played well. Kasper Schmeichel, he was on 5 straight clean sheets before today, so that streak is now over. But nonetheless, I mean, that's 6 straight games to result, so I guess that's a positive note there. And then you had France. All right, France have been about just as disappointing as Argentina, but France have actually won their game, so I guess they get a little pass there. All right, let's see what the lineup France put out today. Put out Giroud, Griezmann, Matuidi, Mbappe, Conte, Pogba. A little bit different. All right, it's more of a 4-2-3-1 here. All right, backline stayed the same. Peru decided to start Paulo Guerrero today. Decent idea, just given the fact that he looked pretty good coming off the bench last game, but nonetheless, Peru couldn't score here. All right, you had, let's see, Mbappe scoring for France. He scored on a little, I can't remember exactly who took the shot, but it deflected off the goalie, I think it was. And all Mbappe had to do was tap it in the middle. He's literally by himself. So it was a bit of an easy goal there. And like I said, with France, I mean, you'd expect him to do a whole lot better than Peru. All right, Peru held the ball most of the time, 57% possession. All right, they had 10 shots, only 2 of them on target. France had 12 shots, 4 of them on target. Looking at it, Peru was the more dominant team in the second half. They were the more active team, I should say. First half, it was France as far as their shots, but even then, so it's not like Peru was sitting back the entire time. They did take 4 shots in the first half. All right. And with France, I mean, they're probably going to win their group, I'd say, because right now you got Denmark, I believe, with... Actually, Denmark's got 6 points now, huh? You actually know Denmark's got 4 points, so obviously it's going to come down to their third game against France, obviously, for who wins the group. But nonetheless, I mean, let's say that France ends up winning their group and they have to play at Argentina. Argentina, yeah, they've looked terrible, but so have France. Do we trust France to get past them? I mean, I don't understand if you did, just given how bad Argentina's looked, but France, I don't really trust them too much. All right. And I'm not really sure why all of these top teams have looked kind of shaky. Maybe it's just one where, like I said, these smaller teams, these weaker teams aren't really afraid of them anymore. They're going to go and attack rather than sit and park the bus. That could be it. All right. But with France, I mean, maybe it's just a matter of comfortability. Maybe getting into the fold of things. All right, maybe the third game is when they put it all together. But nonetheless, I mean, you got Peru, who's now out of the World Cup, meaning they have no shot making it out the group. And then we got Denmark and Australia. Let me get a look at the group standings for right there. So Denmark's got 4 points. Like I said, Australia's only got 1. The only way Australia makes it out is if they beat Peru, and they beat Peru by, probably have to beat by about, I think they'd be good with a goal or 2, given the fact that if Denmark or if France beat Denmark, then they'd have to beat by at least 1 or 2, obviously, like that too. So Australia does have a decent chance. They just got to get a result against Peru, which is going to be tough because usually we see these teams who don't really make it to the World Cup too often. They'll get knocked out early in the group stage, and that third game is basically meaningless. So they'll kind of go out there like that's their game to pretty much play however they want, meaning more so if you saw them parking the bus a lot, then you see them probably on the attacking side. Because like I said, there's nothing to lose. You lose and you're already out. You win, at least you get a win in the World Cup when you're not here too often. So an Australia game versus Peru might be a bit of a trap one. All right. And I mean, Denmark still can get a result against France. They could even beat them, I'd say. I mean, Denmark's going to be the best team France has played in that group. Wouldn't you say so? All right. Eriksen's played well. The rest of that team has played well. France have been very underwhelming. All right. But it'll be really interesting. Like I said, I mean, we could end up with a round of 16 where we got Brazil versus Germany and Argentina versus France. Okay? And that's part of it right there. I mean, if we get something like that, then why can't we see a bit of a second tier team win the World Cup? I mean, I'd say right now, Croatia's probably looked the best team in the World Cup. Yesterday we talked about Portugal. I think we say Portugal, Belgium, Mexico, Russia, and who else? I can't remember who else we mentioned. But nonetheless, I mean, Croatia's going to be up there, and Croatia might be the second best team in this World Cup right now, just given how they've played, I'd say. All right. Against Nigeria, pretty much controlled the entire game. Against Argentina, they controlled the entire game. You figure, too, that here Argentina would be a little bit better off, given the fact that Croatia's going to play a little bit more wide open rather than an Iceland team who's going to park the bus. But even then, I mean, they just didn't have a midfield strong enough to compete with Modric and Rakitic. All right. And as far as France, I mean, I'm not really sure what's going on with them. Maybe it's just a matter of too much talent. All right, an embarrassment of riches type of thing. I mean, as weird as that sounds, just given the fact that, I mean, why wouldn't this team play well? All right. So we're just going to have to see how the rest of this World Cup plays out. I think, what games do we got going on tomorrow? I think it's, let's see real quick. I know we got Brazil playing tomorrow, I believe, against Costa Rica at 5 o'clock in the morning. Pacific time, I should say. Yeah, so Brazil, Costa Rica at 5, Nigeria, Iceland at 8, and then Serbia, Switzerland at 11. Serbia and Switzerland should be a decent match. I mean, all of them should be pretty decent. I'm curious to see, though, tomorrow whether or not Neymar's playing. Because if not, I mean, maybe Costa Rica could steal one away. But even then, so it'd be tough. So, like I said, we'll see what ends up going down tomorrow. Then for the weekend's games, we got Belgium, Tunisia. Let's see, South Korea, Mexico. Germany, Sweden, and then on Sunday we got England, Panama, Japan, Senegal. That should be a fun one. And then Poland, Colombia. That's going to be a big one too, given the fact that whoever loses that game is probably most likely out of the World Cup. All right. But nonetheless, it's been a real exciting World Cup, I'd say. There's no clear-cut favorite. I mean, Portugal's looked good, like I said. Argentina's looked pretty bad. France has been very pedestrian. Brazil, I think, was way too confident in that game against Switzerland. Germany had huge troubles with Mexico. And one thing that was concerning with Germany was the fact that they never really changed up their tactics in that match. All right. Like I said, Belgium handled business against Panama. Spain is... I might have been too harsh on Spain after that 1-0 defeat against... Well, 1-0 win, I should say, against Iran. Nonetheless, I mean, they do have 4 points after 2 matches and do look good against Portugal. All right, Mexico's look good. Croatia's look good. Uruguay has not really performed well, but nonetheless, they got 6 points. So, like I said, it's all up for grabs. I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite. I'd say Argentina might not even make it out the group. Germany, if they struggle against Sweden, who knows? So, we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking about tonight's NBA draft, along with all the other rumors that are going on. So, stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We spent the first two segments talking about the World Cup, talked about Argentina's matchup against Croatia in the first segment, and then talked France versus Peru and Denmark versus Australia in the second. Now, we got the draft coming up today. All right. And I think we all know what the first two picks are going to be. It's looking like it's going to be Ayton going number 1, then Bagley going number 2. I think Ayton is the right pick for these Suns. Okay, I think a starting 5 of, Payton, Booker, Jackson, Warren, and Ayton is solid. I don't think that they're necessarily going to be like a playoff team or anything like that, but nonetheless, that's a solid little young team to build with. All right, now it's just a matter of fixing up your bench and all that and letting other guys develop. And it seems like they're lucky too, because it does seem, like I said, that Devin Booker does want to be there long term. So if that's the case, then, there's no reason not to keep this young core together. Well, obviously they're going to have to, but you get what I'm saying there. Then with the Kings taking Bagley, is that the right pick? It seems that Luka Doncic is the guy, according to everyone. All right. Isn't it the Suns that have Doncic as, I think, his international coach? You'd think that maybe they take him there, but obviously they like Ayton a whole lot better, and Ayton just might be outright the best player in this draft. But isn't it a little weird that the Kings aren't taking him? And I guess no, just given the fact that the Kings just could be making the wrong call here. Okay? Like, that's not out of the realm of possibilities. We know it's the Sacramento Kings. We know it's what they do. They could be making a mistake taking Bagley instead of Doncic. All right. But, Bagley, I think, will probably be a decent player. Right now, he's more of an athletic type player where he needs to develop a jump shot and all. But nonetheless, I think he'll fit in well in Sacramento. I'm sure him and De'Aaron Fox would be a nice little 1-2 duo. Plus, if you're the Kings, you got Harry Giles coming back and Bogdanovich, who's played well last season. All right. Was that actually a rookie second team All-Pro or something like that? I think it was the second all-rookie team. But nonetheless, there's that. I'm thinking that Mo Bamba probably ends up going to the Mavericks. I'm assuming that you're probably going to see Doncic go number 3 to the Hawks, and then Jaren Jackson go in number 4 to Memphis. Unless, of course, Memphis ends up trading that pick, which it seems like they might. All right, looking to get rid of Chandler Parsons and that 4th pick. And I saw the Celtics name pop up as far as being interested for that 4th pick. I don't really see how Memphis ends up trading with Boston for that pick unless Terry Rozier is probably in the deal. Okay. Because the fact of the matter is that Celtics don't have a pick till number 27 this year. And next year is the one where they have about 4 different picks possibly. All right. They'll have the Kings pick if it's not number 1. I believe they'll have the Grizzlies pick if it's not 9+. Or if it is 9 or higher than that. And they'll have the Clippers pick if it's 15 or higher, and then they're wrong. All right, and if the Grizzlies pick, they don't end up getting the Grizzlies pick, then they'll get it the year after that. All right. So, like I said, the only way they think the Celtics get that pick is if they trade a player like Rozier, maybe even Jaylen Brown, possibly. All right, we did see that Jaylen Brown's name was thrown around in trade rumors with the Dallas Mavericks for that number 5 spot. And if Boston's trying to trade up, you got to assume it's either to take a guy like Mo Bamba or possibly even a Luka Doncic type of guy. Imagine Brad Stevens working with Doncic. All right. And I think that's too. You send Doncic to the right coach, I think he'll excel. But of course, how many Euro players have really turned out to be as great as they're assuming Doncic will be? I feel like we talked the same way about Ricky Rubio, didn't we? All right, and let me see if I can find the best NBA players who came from Europe, because that'd be a nice little list. You have to assume that Ricky Rubio's got to be the best, unless Tony Parker. All right, Dirk, Pau Gasol, Marc Gasol, Dragic. And let's see, are these EuroLeague players though? All right. But nonetheless, we'll see, I guess, how good Doncic is. Like I said, I'm not necessarily... I don't know, like, there's, like, a lot of hype around the guy. All right? And we're seeing guys who couldn't really cut in the NBA play well in those leagues. So it's not like a guarantee that Doncic is going to be the right player. All right? I mean, the Kings the last couple of years, I'd say, have done well as far as drafting. Well, last year, I'm not sure about the year before that. But nonetheless, yeah, I say last year that the Kings did well drafting to picking up Mason, Fox, Jackson, and Giles. I mean, we're going to see Giles most likely this season. I know the Kings are really excited about him. All right. And then we got to see like what happens with guys like Trae Young or even a Michael Porter type, Jr. type player. Like, where's he going to end up? All right. Michael Porter Jr. is probably the wild card in this draft, given the fact that you're not really sure how well he's going to play, given his injuries and all. All right. I've seen that the Knicks are interested in him. They might trade up for him. I've seen that they're interested in Mo Bamba too. They could possibly trade up to take him. All right. I've seen a lot of connection between him and the Bulls. I know that Philly, Mikal Bridges is probably one that's going to end up happening, and he's probably one of the most NBA-ready type prospects in this draft, so it's going to be really interesting. I mean, as far as teams who I think, if they draft a certain guy, could be a decent team this year, it's obviously Phoenix drafting DeAndre Ayton. All right, they got talent there. It's just a matter of putting it all together. But other than that, I mean, I'm not really too sure here. Okay. Maybe the Clippers. Obviously, you got Philly in the top 10, but they're already a decent team. Sacramento, I'm more curious about them given the fact that last year they looked pretty good. I mean, could they be a team who wins 30 to 35 games this season? All right. Is that out of the realm of possibility there? If, let's say, Marvin Bagley is the player they expect him to be. Let me see if I can find their record from this past season. So the Kings were 27-55. Does Marvin Bagley make them 8 wins better? All right, in the development of the other players. Can that accumulate to 8 more wins? Or even, like I said, 3 more wins. So I said 30 to 35. All right. I think Phoenix is a team that can win 30 games this season if they've got the right head coach. All right, and I think Ayton's going to be that good. And I think, like I said, that's all they needed right there. Plus, you just need to build up your bench. Clippers were over 500. All right, they got the 12th and 13th pick. I mean, why not them? Clippers could end up in the playoffs next year. But I'm curious, too. I mean, we still got Kawhi Leonard watch. We had the Lakers acquiring a second-round pick yesterday. Was that in order to sweeten up the deal for Kawhi Leonard? All right. Then you got Shams over from Yahoo saying that the Lakers inquired to buy Kawhi. I mean, it's a possibility. All right. It's going to be real interesting to see if he ends up going today. And it's like I said, it's a real possibility given the fact that the Clippers are trying to offer their 2 first-round picks and Tobias Harris along with some other things for Kawhi. Maybe Philly's trying out to get him right now. All right, they got the 10th pick this year. I mean, it's going to be real interesting. And supposedly, all right, according to all these reporters and analysts and all, it's supposed to be one of the biggest drafts where it's just trades all over the place. Okay? Like I said, teams like the Celtics are really active in trying to move up. I think I saw Adrian Wojnarowski said that the Celtics are one of the more active teams. All right, one of the most active teams trying to get up in the draft. The Sixers are trying to move up, I saw. The Raptors are trying to move up. The Heat are trying to move up. Okay? The Knicks are trying to move up. Like I said, plus you got Kawhi Leonard who's on the trade block right now. Maybe Greg Popovich caves and says, you know what, yeah, we'll send you to LA. Maybe Philly gives them a sweet deal, like maybe like a Markelle Fultz, their 10th pick this year, a couple of their picks in the late round this year. All right, maybe Boston pulls the trigger. But if the Spurs and Celtics were to trade, I'd say it'd probably be after the draft, given that most of the Celtics picks, or at least valuable ones, are coming next year anyways. All right. Like I said, there's a lot of uncertainty here. I mean, I'm not even sure that Luka Doncic goes number 3 to the Hawks. He could just fall at 4 or 5. All right. And it's just crazy how he was seen as like the top prospect in the draft, and now you might see him drop down a few spots. You figured that maybe he was a lock to go 1 or 2 at least, but obviously that's not the case with the Kings going with Bagley And the Suns going with Ayton if what's being reported is true. All right. But nonetheless, it's going to be fun. Hopefully we get a lot of trades. Hopefully we get a lot of movement around here. So we'll see. But nonetheless, we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked about World Cup, Argentina, Croatia, Peru, France, and then Denmark, Australia. And we talked about the draft, and now we're going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports. So yesterday, we talked about how the Hornets traded Dwight Howard for basically nothing. All right, traded him for the most overpaid center in the league in Timothy Mozgov, 2 second-round picks, and some cash. All right, basically said, Dwight, we don't need you here. We don't want you here. You're on your way to Brooklyn. Okay? And now it seems that Dwight Howard and the Nets are working out a buyout deal, so he'll be a free agent soon. Where's Dwight going to end up? All right, and if you're a team, why would you take Dwight on your team when it seems that he hasn't been a very likable player? Okay. Let's just say that. It seems like in LA he wasn't well liked. Houston, he didn't really get along there. And then it seems that in Charlotte he wasn't well liked either. Okay. And I mean, it's a real honest question. I mean, if he seemed to cause problem after problem in the locker room, or at least not be well liked, won't that affect your team chemistry? I'd say it would. Okay. But nonetheless, the Celtics are a team that have been brought up as far as being ones who could be the most active for Dwight Howard. And I don't hate the move. Again, it's just the caution of what if he causes issues in the locker room and he's not well liked as a teammate. All right. That's always a possibility. But the Celtics have always needed someone like Dwight Howard, a strong ring protector. And I mean, it's not like Dwight Howard's a bad player. Okay? This past season, he put up 16 and 12. Okay? He still can play ball. It's just a matter of his antics, I guess. All right. Would he fit in with a team like the Celtics? And I think he possibly could, given the fact that it's basically like a no-nonsense type of organization. Okay? Of course, people have been waiting for Dwight to return back to being the old Orlando Dwight, where he's just dominant. That's not necessarily going to happen. But like I said, I mean, it's not like he's been a bad player since he's left Orlando. His stats have actually looked pretty good. People, I think, always point to the fact that he hasn't won anything. He hasn't really taken a team anywhere. I mean, he's a center. How many players do you know do that at the center position? All right. I think I compared him to Patrick Ewing yesterday. Spot me the difference there. All right. What did Patrick Ewing ever win? Nothing. All right. But like I said, I mean, I think Dwight Howard would be a decent player on the Celtics. And like, what's Dwight Howard going to make? The minimum? I mean, I'm assuming he probably would, because he's probably going to be getting around 18 to 20 million off of that buyout with the Nets. So you're already making that. You take the vet minimum with a contender. I mean, maybe a team like the Warriors. Celtics, possibly, like I said. Maybe Cleveland. Man, imagine Dwight in Cleveland. You can already tell that's a terrible idea. All right. Like just off the bat. He's not coming back to Houston. Possibly the Spurs could use him. All right. To the right team that can pretty much have stability and all that and great organization, I think Dwight Howard could succeed. But as far as like Cavs and all that stuff, like you already know, Dwight Howard and the Cavs sounds like a terrible option. All right. But I mean, the guy's only 32, 33. Still got time left in his career. Like I said, he's still putting up big numbers, so we'll see what ends up going down with him. All right. But we mentioned earlier, I mean, Kawhi Leonard, his trade and all that, whether or not that's going to be happening. I mean, could you see Kawhi getting traded tonight? Maybe he could end up going to a team like Philly. Seems like the Lakers have no shot at trading for Kawhi, just given the fact that Ramona Shelburne reported that one of her sources told her that they basically, a Lakers source, that basically the Spurs put the phone down as soon as they called. All right. Spurs and Lakers have always been big rivals too, so I wouldn't expect them to do too much business. If I had to say Kawhi Leonard gets traded tonight and what team he goes to, it'd probably be the Clippers. All right. And that could change a lot of things too if Kawhi ends up going to the Clippers. Because let's say Kawhi goes to the Clippers and he just wants to be in LA, signs an extension there. I mean, when's the last time that the Clippers got someone that the Lakers wanted? All right. Honestly. Couldn't that just shift the dynamic there? Or do you think the Lakers got way too much power already? All right. And I think that's possible too. The Clippers could get Kawhi and whoever else they wanted. Wouldn't make a difference just given the fact that it's the Lakers out there. All right. I mean, when you think of Staples Center, you don't think of the Clippers, you think of the Lakers. I mean, but what if maybe the Clippers bring in Kawhi and they sign Paul George? Who knows? Maybe that's different there. And it's not like it's not a possibility. I'm sure Paul George growing up in LA probably grew up a Lakers fan, but there's a point of maybe you just want to play in LA. All right. And I'd say the Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George may be better than the... Actually, no, I wouldn't say that. All right, but nonetheless, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. Let's not forget that Jerry West is the guy who's handling all the operations over there. All right, that's the guy who's making all the personnel moves. And he's a genius, basically. Did it well for the Warriors, did it well for the Lakers, now doing it well for the Clippers. It's not like the Clippers were a terrible team this year. All right, they were over 500, it's just the West was that much better. But, yeah, I'd say if Kawhi were to go to the Celtics, it wouldn't be happening tonight. It could be to Philly tonight, possibly, but it's just a point where it's all about what Greg Popovich wants to do. All right. So let's see. Anything else going on right now in the world of sports? Not much going on in the NFL right now. I mean, yesterday we talked about how Allen Hurns is going to be the Cowboys' #1 receiver. Julio Jones still working out with T.O. Obviously, Falcons aren't too big of fans of that, but it's just a matter of once they give him the new deal they're trying to work on, and then he'll be back. All right. Like I said, World Cup, as fun as it is, there's been no true dominant team. There's no real clear favorite, I'd say. All right. I mean, who's to say that Croatia, Mexico, Uruguay, Portugal can't win the World Cup this year? It's a big possibility there. All right. Does Germany really scare you right now? No. Brazil maybe, but without Neymar, they're a bit vulnerable. Argentina look terrible. They look weak. Argentina literally look weak. Okay. And France, they're all right. I'd say right now probably the favorites would have to be Portugal or Spain to win it all. Brazil could have been, but like I said, there's a bunch of uncertainty with Neymar. I mean, he could play tomorrow, but he might not even be 100%. And what good is Neymar when he's not at 100? All right. Got a lot of big games going on. Group stage is wrapping up next week. I hope this World Cup isn't one that feels like it goes by way too fast. I'd like to enjoy it a bit. All right. As far as the draft tonight, I mean, I think the clear-cut pick for #1 for the Suns would be DeAndre, and I really hope that they are making that pick. Not overthinking it too much. All right. And let's see, what else is going on? Then we talked about yesterday how the Cavs were thinking about trading Kevin Love in the 8th pick for Kawhi, or at least they tried to. If you're the Spurs, I don't see why you take that deal. Kyle O'Quinn, The New York Knicks declined his option, so now he's a free agent. Saw that Dave Fizdale said that he had a bigger role planned for him, so maybe it's just one where he's going to re-sign with the Knicks for more money, possibly. All right, but I mean, how often do we see that happening? And yeah, there's not really much else going on in the world of sports right now. All right, Barry Trotz actually resigned from being the Capitals head coach, is now the New York Islanders head coach. So I'm assuming they had to be talking behind the scenes or something. Obviously, that's tampering and whatnot, but how do you leave a team one day and the very next you're signing with another one? I mean, come on now. All right. But nonetheless, yeah, we're just going to wrap it up here. So today we talked NBA draft, we talked World Cup, and then we talked Dwight Howard, possibly where he could go since he's going to be getting a buyout with the Nets. All right, definitely be watching out for the draft tonight. Excited to see exactly what moves are going down, who's getting traded where, and whatnot. So we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. I will be back tomorrow to talk about the draft and any other moves that hopefully happen tonight. So stay tuned for that, and I will talk to you guys later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.